Hi, I'm Martina, a rising high school senior who's involved in competitive dance and Native American club. And I'm Hannah Mapatis, her older sister. I started off at a community college and now I'm at University of Oregon.
I'm Barbara Short. I'm their mother, and I'm an educator and a mental health specialist focusing on healing from trauma.
And today we are here to present to you Nurturing Positive Strategies for Managing Stress for the 2020 Unity Virtual National Conference. There are multiple ways that stress affects us all. Some of the ways stress has manifested itself in my life has mainly been through school, specifically dealing with higher academic standards and where some of those standards fit in with what I've learned culturally. When I left my small community to head out and start out in a new town for community college, and a lot of those stresses that came forward were missing the connection, the loneliness, and just not really understanding where my place was in such a large community. A lot of other stress comes from just basic adult responsibilities, your bills, how much you're making on your paycheck, maybe your hours got cut, and you need those extra 3 hours. Another thing that really deeply stresses me due to my anxiety are social situations, and learning how I communicate and how much energy that takes out of me has really helped in managing the stress that comes from dealing with social responsibilities. I used to be stressed out about schoolwork and feeling pressured to be really social, but now that my junior year is over, I'm stressed about applying for colleges and getting scholarships and just figuring out what I want to do in life or my career. And now that's thought about what life after COVID will look like. When will I be able to see my friends? Will life ever be really normal again? And stress from post-trauma.
So there's a lot of things that cause stress in life, and you've heard from my daughters. As an adult, there's a lot of the same things that are still stressful. Relationships are stressful, and I don't just mean a romantic relationship, a husband and wife, but balancing other people's needs and your needs is always going to be a bit of a stressor. And workplace is stressful, and there are relationships embedded in your workplace, and some of you may have experienced this. Getting along with everyone, being true to yourself, working with the boundaries of the situations you're in. Money is a big stress, paying those monthly bills, taking care of your home or your car or your body, making sure you're making all your appointments, and maintenance on everything to keep things running well. A lot of stresses like worrying about other people, worrying about situations. As you move into adulthood and you become more and more empowered to participate in our society as a democratic society, it's really important to be aware of the issues so that you can contribute positively. And I don't have to tell you, there's a lot of stress around that right now. Climate change, those of us who are, especially who live in our rural areas or perhaps in your homeland or reservation, you are really intimately aware of the water and the fire and plant and animal changes that climate change is causing, and I find that very stressful. And again, you take that to a problem-solving place. What can I do to contribute to finding balance in that place? So the stresses that you have in life will change, but they'll continue. And then some of you may be parents, but if you're not and you are blessed in the future to be a parent, that's a whole other ball of wax. So having these strategies to manage your stress helps you to be a happier, healthier, and more effective person. And then that feeds out to the people around you. I know as a parent or as a teacher, classroom teacher, when I'm stressed, it stresses my children. When I'm stressed, I'm not my best. In fact, they did some research on classroom teachers, and they found that the measured stress levels of teachers correlated to the stress levels of the students in their class. So the stress we carry with us and bring into the world because we haven't managed it does affect everyone else around us. So that's yet another reason to work on managing our own stress and be in a healthy, balanced, positive place. So before we go any further, I want to acknowledge that sometimes our stresses are extreme. And anytime you are in ongoing danger of harm from someone, harm to yourself, or you're aware of harm occurring to someone else, it's important that you go beyond the stress management into crisis support. So if someone is doing harm to you, or you feel you may do harm to yourself, or you know of someone else who's experiencing that, we have some numbers listed that you can call hotlines, and you may have local hotlines. Of course, practicing stress management will help you through your crisis, but if you are in danger or experiencing harm, you need to go beyond these steps and get some significant intervention. What do we mean when we talk about stress, and what are some of the signs and symptoms of that? So there's two kinds of stress, really. There's good stress, which they call eustress. I don't know why, that's what they call it. And then there's the negative stress, which is actually distress. And that's what we usually mean when we say, oh my gosh, I'm so stressed. We're usually talking about distress. Now, stress has a place in our body. This eustress, this good stress, it is to help us respond to situations in our lives. This stress is about getting us to move and take action. And it's a necessary part of our physiology. So, what happens in modern society is that we have replaced a lot of other things with this need to have fight or flight. So, bill paying isn't like the grizzly bear is going to eat me. And it's occurring more than once in a while. It's every couple weeks or at least once a month. School or homework, or maybe some discord in your family. If that's going on all the time and you're feeling that distress, that negative stress all the time, your body is continuously running some cortisol and adrenaline. And that's a problem because it is taking up space that could be occupied by other chemicals and hormones in our bodies that would be more productive for us.
As my mom had mentioned, the stress hormone is called cortisol. It's released by the limbic system and has many functions. It activates the fight or flight response, releases sugars in the blood to give us energy, reduces serotonin, the happy molecule, helps numb pain, and increases in the morning to get you going, and then decreases at night so you can sleep and get rest. This hormone, among others, is why stress has such an effect on the body. It can affect your skin, immune system, hormones, bones, brain, heart, gut, and muscle. To prevent the bodily effects of stress, we want to produce happy hormones. These may be oxytocin, dopamine, endorphins, and serotonin.
Cortisol and adrenaline have important functions for rousing our bodies into action and sustaining the energy we need to do what needs to be done. But we want to make sure that we have balance in our brain and space for hormones and neurotransmitters that promote positive feelings of well-being. Oxytocin, dopamine, endorphins, and serotonin, they have a lot in common. They're all kind of feel-good hormones. These can be promoted by exercise, music, either listening to it or playing it, being in nature, eating foods high in omega-3 fatty acids such as salmon, nuts, and seeds. And those moments we spend socializing or being near people that we feel good about, people that we love or that we have fond feelings for, our pets, little brothers and sisters, nieces and nephews. Dopamine and serotonin are also neurotransmitters, meaning these chemicals help send signals from one part of our brain to another.
Next, let's find out how we can manage the stress. Self-awareness is key when it comes to managing your stress and can give you more power in your decision making. Here to talk more about it is my mom and sister, Barbara and Hannah.
So, self awareness seems really key to managing your stress and managing yourself, because if you aren't cognizant of what you're thinking or feeling or experiencing, then you don't have the ability to shift that. What do you think about how self-awareness plays into your stress management routine?
When I was younger, think maybe middle school, early high school, I had a lot of stress surrounding how I looked physically and how I felt about myself. And it took a while to realize that I had been, or to become aware that I had been talking about myself in a really harsh way. Like if it was something someone else had said to me, I would have thought, oh my gosh, how can you say that? And when I realized that, it became much easier to say, no, Hannah, you're not stupid. You're having a hard time with math, but you're very good at English, so why don't you take a break and read your book, and then you can work harder to get better at math, rather than saying, oh wow, Hannah, you're so stupid. You can't even do a simple equation. And it changes the way you look not only at yourself, but at the task you're doing. It becomes a lot less like a big, scary issue and more of something that you just got to practice with, work on it.
So you used your self-awareness to realize that you were engaging in negative self-talk, that you were having thoughts and using words for yourself that weren't healthy and supportive. So once you became aware of that habit of saying, oh, I'm so stupid, in regards to, say, math or whatever, you were able to replace those thoughts or notice them when they arose.
Mm-hmm. And even if I didn't have maybe the strength to talk myself up, I could still say, that's wrong.
Okay, so you were able to take it into bites. Like, we don't have to
Yes.
go the whole length of this race.
You don't have to praise yourself.
You don't have to get to perfect. You can
Yes.
just start with saying, hey, that was a really negative thing to say to yourself.
Even if to yourself you just go, hey, that's rude.
Yeah.
Then you're like, oh yeah, because you wouldn't say that about your friend, or I'd hope you wouldn't say that about your friends.
No, and a lot of times we do say things to ourselves that are not supportive and that tear us down. And we are the only ones who can stop that chatter in our mind.
By being self-aware.
Self-aware. And that really helps us cut the stress, because we are more connected with who we are in our internal world.
Exactly. The same way that when you're running, your body realizes, oh, it's time to stop and breathe, take some walks. Your brain needs to recognize, oh, you need to stop that and take some break. You know.
Being brain and mind aware.
Yes.
If you ever find yourself spiraling or becoming negative, ask yourself these questions to have a moment of self-awareness. What are you thinking, or what are you telling yourself? How is this making you feel, and why? And lastly, are these actions or thoughts supporting your best, healthiest you?
When it comes to specific stress management strategy essentials, each one should be free, portable, easy to use, and personalized. One easy technique is trying different breathing strategies. There's one where you do the motion of smelling a rose or sage and blowing out a candle through your mouth, or blowing a dandelion. There's box breath, where you breathe in for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, breathe out for seconds, and then wait 4 seconds. Then there's the cooling breath, where you go in the nose and then out the mouth. These are really good for focusing and staying present. There are many physical strategies as well. This can include exercising, working out, playing, walking, dancing, running, swimming, skating. Really any physical activity that gets you moving. It doesn't even have to be that serious. You can be doing it for fun.
So when we're feeling really stressed out or sort of upset and disturbed about all of the things that we feel are overwhelming, one way that works for many people is to just come into the present moment. And this is assuming that the present moment is an okay place to be.
And by present moment, do you mean noticing everything that's happening on around you, or is it your own personal space of presence?
I would say it's generally noticing where you are right in this exact moment. It's peaceful, and I can just breathe.
So some might call something like that grounding, noticing all of the things that calm you happening in what you're calling your present moment.
Yes, it's like a sensory grounding. It kind of brings people to right now. And most of the time, right now is an okay moment. I mean, that unpleasant interaction you had an hour ago did happen, or that obligation you have that you're nervous about or worried about meeting still is going to occur tomorrow or later today. But right now, if you're safe and you can dig into that moment, you can give your body and your brain that neurological break. You can cut that cortisol flood, take some deep breaths, get your endorphins flowing, get the serotonin levels back, and then be better able to address whatever it is you need to address.
Yeah, you can tell she's my mom because I actually use a lot of sensory strategies to ground. I go with my five senses, something I can taste, touch, smell, see, and hear. Sometimes I don't need all of those. Sometimes it's just smelling lavender. And that's all I need, a deep breath and lavender, and I'm feeling calm and ready to think forward. Another thing that really helps me in the city is finding the pressure points that help me feel better. Like, I have my temple right here. It's really good for stress when it comes to homework. I mean, headaches too. But pressing here helps me feel a lot better. When I'm feeling a little lonely or sad, I like to go to the back of my head. There's a little triangle there where your head meets your skull, the base of your skull. And just rubbing that, I don't know what it is, or just putting pressure on it, feels really nice. So the things in the city where there's a lot of noise and it's easy to be overwhelmed is just finding ways to slow that down. You know, if the traffic's running fast, but my apartment and myself are calm inside, then it doesn't bother me as much. It doesn't get rid of the stress that the city brings completely. That is there. It's always going to be there for me. I'm not used to the sirens and the highway. But it has become a lot easier because of the ways I manage it.
Nature can play a big role in reducing stress. It's something that is much bigger than ourselves, and so it helps provide perspective as well as sort of a natural grounding or bringing us into our physical bodies. And nature is free and portable. It's available pretty much anywhere. Even in a big city, you can look up and see that slice of sky or find a tree that's growing through the cracks in the sidewalk or a park or maybe a body of water. And nature promotes those endorphins and the dopamine that will provide the feel-good chemicals in our brain. Some people find a spiritual component in nature, and it's a good place to take deep breaths, do some stretching, and engage in movement, as well as the beauty of nature, which is soothing in a way that is probably promoting serotonin and oxytocin. There's actually a thing in Japan and other places called forest bathing, where people purposefully go and sit near or among trees to gain feelings of peace and well-being. But I find that even dune bathing or field bathing, anywhere being out in nature, is really helpful for most people.
Being your own best friend is very important for a positive state of mind. This means self-love, self-care, self-respect, and forgiveness. One of my personal favorite things to do is make a face mask or buy one, chill for a second, maybe watch a really good show, and just relax. Another part of self-respect and self-love is giving yourself affirmations, recognize the things that you're good at or what you're skilled at or your favorite attributes about yourself. Build yourself up and be positive. If If I'm not relaxing to relieve stress, I'm going to be active, physically and mentally. Physically, I'm a competitive dancer, so working out, exercising, going on walks is really helpful to me. And mentally, I like to keep my brain active by writing poems. I'm in the school newspaper, so writing articles, art. I really like to draw and I really like to paint. I think that relieves a lot of stress for me, and it keeps me active and distracted from the things that might be stressing me out. Other ways to be grounded and relieve stress include playing music, it can be calming or empowering, writing poetry, singing, moving your body, holding a special rock, some kind of totem, an item that is special to you, or being with other people and helping them out. These relaxation techniques are really easy and you can do them for however long you think you need. You can repeat a word or phrase like a prayer while breathing calmly. You can tense up certain body parts and then release and let go to get rid of tension. You can stretch and breathe and focus on that. Or you can lay flat and let the back of your body melt into the floor, mat, and ground. Here's a nice example of the seal really melting into the beach. Very cute. This is all really good for focus, being calm, and relieving stress. For a quick gratitude practice, think of something you're grateful for. This can be really simple. It can be a roof over your head, enough food to eat every day, a supportive person in your life, or even the ability to move. Then picture, consider, or dwell on this thing, and feel it in your heart. Breathe calmly and give thanks. This can help you get a clear head and focus on the positive things. If you're ever feeling really overwhelmed with all the things you have to do, we suggest getting organized and making it a ritual. This includes making lists, making a routine, preparing for what you have to do, and compartmentalizing. Making lists is really helpful because you can cross off what you've already done and see what you have to do left. It makes it easy, less overwhelming, and also helps you feel accomplished when you get things done. Having a routine is nice because it keeps you in check and make sure you have things to do. Part of being prepared is setting up for your task. Do you need water? Have you eaten? Is this done? It helps you move forward with the process. Compartmentalizing is a great way to keep things organized in your brain. You can create a space for things that you know you want or need to do, and so you can think about it later and you don't forget. Here's a visual example of how to compartmentalize. Here we have a tray, one with a lot of food on it, and one with it organized and not so much. The example of the plate can be your mind or your body. What's on it today? What are you thinking about? What do you have going on? Assess and ask yourself these things. Do I need this thought to be active right now? Is this helpful to me for the tasks I have to engage in today? Is this something I can work on or address now? Or can I save it for later? Can I let this go for a little while? Compartmentalizing keeps you organized and also helps maintain the balance between working and relaxing. One of the easier things to do to change your thinking is to change your environment. It can be temporary, like going on a quick walk outside to clear your head and focus on other things instead of what's stressing you out. And long term could be the people you surround yourself with. Are your friends kind? Are they nice to you? Do you support each other in times of need? If not, maybe find some people who do. For me, I have my mom and my sister. They're really supportive. And I also have all my friends. And even though I'm not able to see them right now, we can FaceTime, we text, sometimes we go on walks together, and it's been really helpful.
Based on our presentation, here's some easy ways to take your first steps toward managing your stress.
Get started now and assess how you've been feeling lately. Identify your personal stress inducers and identify your personal stress relieving mechanisms. If you don't have any or you can't think of yours, take a look at ours. They were helpful to us and they might be helpful to you too. And last but certainly not least, write down your appreciation for yourself and someone supportive in your life. If you ever feel you're in a negative space, looking at these can remind you how great you really are and who's there to support you if you need it.
So one thing I'd like to leave you with is remembering that this is a lifelong process. It's not something that you do once or twice and fix your stress. because as you go on in life, the challenges change, but there will always be challenges and there will always be things that are causing you some distress or worry or concern. And in fact, the older you get, the more important it is to really take care of your body and mind. So finding those things that work for you and incorporating them into your daily life is really important. And don't be surprised if you find that things that used to work for you just aren't working anymore. That's okay. Your daily routine changes, your lifestyle changes. Find new strategies that work to manage your stress and help you be in a place of balance as you go through life.
Thank you for taking the time to be with us today, and I hope this really helped.